Finding Langston, Chapter 9. I found the letter came in the mail last week. Daddy been hiding it under his bed. I'm up late for school, and Daddy left me behind. Usually we walk together to the end of the block. Then he goes left for the L, and I go right for school. Today I turn the apartment upside down looking for my key. I find 4 pennies fell out of Daddy's pocket and one of my old marbles I'd been looking for. In a crack between the floorboards, I finally find the key. But while I'm looking under Daddy's bed, I see a shoebox pushed all the way into the corner. I know it isn't right. I can hear Daddy's voice in my head saying, looking at something don't belong to you is the same as stealing, a sin. Folks always say my daddy is a godly man, but he doesn't leave much room for things that ain't a sin. So even though I know it's a sin, I open the box and take a look. I see a couple of letters with the wiggly writing and other letters at the bottom tied with a ribbon. These don't have envelopes, just girly writing, smell like perfume. I'll get to those later. But first, I open the letter I want. Dearest Henry, God's blessings on you and Langston. Hope you both are well in Chicago. Bet it's cold there now. Henry, I'm sorry to tell you, Mama is doing poorly. Since she got that cold last month, she just can't seem to get right. Keep me up half the night coughing. Not that I'm complaining. God has blessed me with the strength to carry on in good times and bad. We sure appreciate the money you've been sending, but with her cough getting worse, I may need a little something extra to get her through the doctor if you have it to spare. Tell Langston be good for his daddy. Prayerfully yours, Lena. Grandma is sick? I never seen my grandma sick a day in my life. I barely saw Grandma sit down, let alone take to bed. Mama said that was because she was used to taking care of herself after Daddy's daddy died. Since then, she had to be a mama and a daddy. A man and a woman, I guess. She cooked just as good as she farmed. Sundays after services seemed like half the church would come by for supper. Grandma had a long table, and she'd lay out dish after dish on her old lace tablecloth. After the ham, macaroni and cheese, fried okra, biscuits, green beans swimming in butter, and sweet tea, Mama and Aunt Lena cleared the table and brought out the pies. Grandma sat at the head, telling stories. When Mama took sick, Grandma came and tended to her when she and Daddy couldn't. Treated Mama like a newborn baby, washing her, feeding her, changing the sheets when she wet herself, and at night after Grandma cooked our dinner and cleaned up too, she sat by the bed, brushing and plaiting Mom's hair and singing songs so sweet my eyes filled with water. She loved Mama near as much as me and Daddy. God bless me with another child I didn't have to birth or burp, she'd say, and laugh. She knew Mama's family before Mama was even born. Her people lived down the road till they passed when Mama was still young. I'm so late now, I'm going to get sent to the office. I put my key in my shoe and raced down the steps to school. The principal, Mr. Freeman, is talking to a teacher when I run into the office for a late pass, and he just waves me on to class. I slip into my seat, trying to be quiet and breathing so Mrs. Robbins doesn't turn around from the chalkboard. Between the letter and being late, I barely noticed that Lyman didn't come to school. Means I can take my time going to the library. Clem and Errol barely look at me as I walk through the schoolyard. On the way to the library, I notice the trees in the sidewalk have leaves that are just starting to turn yellow. The same yellow I watch from my bedroom back home every year when the weather started to turn. In the spring, the smell of white blossoms made Mama smile, and on a hot Alabama day, you could almost hide from the sun under its branches. Every year, when the first flowers showed up, Mama would cut off a few branches and put them in water in a mason jar, sit them right in the middle of the kitchen table. So we don't have to go outside and smell springtime, she'd laugh. Daddy said she was looking at too many of those white women's magazines, but I thought they looked real pretty. I think he did too. We both loved how white blossoms on a branch could make her so happy. Downstairs in the library, I plop my book on the librarian's desk. Finished early. I want to take out some more, I tell her. She laughs. That's fine. Here. She points. The return slot is there. Just put them in there and go check out more books. Thanks, I mumble, shamed again not to know yet how the library works. You have any books on trees? I ask. Right over there in the nonfiction section. Try the 580 call number, she says. I don't know what nonfiction means or if there are really 580 books on trees, but I look anyhow. I walk up and down the rows, and then I see one book and a lot more, all about trees. All kinds of trees, too. I never knew there were so many. I take one of the tree books down from the shelf and go to the table by the window. I look through the pictures for a magnolia tree and find one right in the middle of the book. A big color picture, smooth and shiny. I add another Langston Hughes book on top of the magnolia book and pull my card out of my satchel and wait for the librarian to thunk a stamp in my books.